he literally showed up and he said to me, I was in tears. I was on my knees, on my own. I thought I was alone, you know, and he spoke to me. He said, "What would Jesus do?" And I was so angry. I was so hurt. I yelled back at him. It was literally like, he was in the room. I was having a conversation with
Yeah,
him. Not in.
you're having what someone would have classed as a breakdown, right? But
Yeah. So I was
but
having
you were like, but you were there having this deeper conversation within yourself, which is, the representation of Jesus as well, right? Welcome to the Queer Quest podcast, your beacon of light and sprinkle of glitter in the queer community. I'm your host, Cristiano Green, CEO and founder of Queer Quest and a transformation coach for queer individuals. And together, we're embarking on a journey of transformation. Each week, we bring you a new training topic or connecting with visionary queer leaders in healing and coaching, diving deep into conversations that inspire growth, celebrate diversity, and empower you to live authentically. So wherever you are, settle in and let's get ready to unlock the vibrant potential within. This is where your quest begins. Hello, all you fabulous souls, and welcome to another episode of the Queer Quest podcast. I'm your host, Cristiano Green, the CEO and founder of Queer Quest and a transformation coach for people in the queer community. This week on the podcast, I'm not on my own. I have a very special guest in the house. We have Desiree Lee, who is a queer filmmaker and a certified Tao Quantum Healer and teacher. Welcome, Desiree, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Cristiano, for having me today. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, so I just heard that you're in Bali,
Yes.
So
Yeah, and we just had a little quick discussion beforehand, getting to know each other, because Desiree grew up in Malaysia, which is very close to Indonesia, Bali anyway. So we were just chit-chatting a little bit about our upbringings, but we thought, let's jump on and record so that all of this gold we can share today as well. So we really wanted to jump on because, as you said, certified Tao Quantum Healer. I know many people out there aren't going to know exactly what that is. I know a little bit about it, but I want to hear it from Desiree's mouth. What is a Tao Quantum Healer?
yes, so I've been trained by Tao Academy, which is a organization that trains healers in quantum healing, and so many of you may have heard about quantum healing, and basically our understanding of quantum healing is actually information healing. So it goes beyond just energy and matter, which is a physical. It goes to the root cause of any disease or blockages in your life, and it's not limited to your health. It can also encompass your relationships, your emotional health, your spiritual health,
Your
everything.
finances as well, I bet, as well, right?
Finances too, all aspects of your life, because everyone and everything is made of information. And then when we say information, we also explain that everyone and everything is actually essentially made of a vibrational field that carries this information. So depending on what's in your field, it will manifest into your reality. So what we do as Tao healers, Tao quantum healers, is that we help our clients go to the root cause of whatever blockages that they have in their lives. So, and again, it's not limited to just health; it's all aspects of life. So it's a very, very powerful modality, and I'm very, very grateful and honored to have learned from Dr. Master Shah, who's the founder of the Tao Academy, to bring this modality to the world.
Beautiful. And so when you learn about this stuff and it becomes a part of, what you do, and I guess a part of the way you live life, when you meet people, are you easily able to assess and go, okay, this is the area that I would say that they need help with? Or is it through because I know you help a lot of people in the queer community, right? So firstly, what are some of the things that people come to you with? And one, can you spot those before they even open their mouth or talk to you? Because you can read their information and their energy.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, it really depends. And I'm, just to, set the record straight, I'm not a Tao Quantum Healer full time. I
Yeah.
am a filmmaker. I'm a filmmaker,
Yes.
my bread and butter is actually making films. And like, as you mentioned that, my credential as a queer filmmaker, my career started as a journalist and a filmmaker in Japan.
Yeah.
And career started in broadcast TV. And then because of the spiritual awakening that I experienced over 10 years ago, then I became trained as a Tao Quantum Healer.
Yeah.
So, today my films are more based on spirituality and healing.
Oh, evolution. Yeah.
Yes. And so I don't see clients on a day-to-day basis, but I do run a meditation group through the LGBTQ community center in Vancouver.
Okay.
And I've met all kinds of people, looking for healing or better wellness, well-being. So when you say, how do I know? So sometimes, through, like, for example, through the meditation sessions, um, they're not necessarily my clients and they're not coming to me for healing. However,
Mm.
through the meditation sessions, it's a guided meditation that I do. Somehow they will start voicing, some disharmony or dis-ease that they're experiencing in their lives, and then that's when the conversation gets started. So that's like through my meditation sessions. Now, if somebody came to me and they're looking for healing, usually they come by bringing their issue.
Of course.
So I don't
Yeah.
have to, second guess what they're coming for. However, what they may or may not be aware of, though, is the root cause, or maybe like something in their subconsciousness that they're not even aware of,
It's kind of
right?
like the issue is never the issue. It's always something a little bit deeper than that, right?
Exactly. And so now, as a healer, we've been trained to tap into the spiritual world, which
Yes.
has information that our conscious mind may or may not be aware of.
Yes.
So using our channels, we're able to connect and then be able to, tell. We're not medical intuitives, where we don't work that way, but and we don't diagnose, we don't,
No. No.
yeah, when and we don't claim that, make any claim that, this is going to heal you. But what we do is that we guide them through practical steps and techniques so that they become a active participant in their own healing. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing that we do as Tao Quantum Healers, in
Empower them, basically empowering them to kind of make like to get clarity on what it is that's going on, truly the root cause of it, and then I guess to take some action so that they can make a change that's going to bring them more peace or happiness or whatever it is that they guess they're truly looking for.
Exactly. And we come with very, very powerful tools. And that's what could perhaps set us apart from, and other healers where, most of the time you come to the healer, you expect to get healed and you go home,
Oh yeah, I've done a
So
lot of energy healing over the years, with a number of different modalities. I hadn't actually done or met someone specifically in this area, so I guess I'm totally intrigued as well about like what is the quantum healing in the realm of Tao do for people, because like I've done a lot of pranic healing and Reiki in the past as well, but yeah, like I'm always open to learning and experiencing new modalities and new areas. But you said it's got some powerful tools.
yeah, it's got some powerful tools. So, as a Tao Quantum Healer, I have certifications in different even types of healing. So, in under the umbrella of Tao healing, there are, like, for example, I'm a Tao hands practitioner, meaning that I have received this very powerful light transmission, where I can send healing frequency vibrations to you, to help you transform blockages. And it's different from Reiki because it's
Yes.
not just energy. It's not just energy. It's more than that, because it's going into the information level, to transform the message. So that's one aspect of healing that I can do. I'm also a Tao song healer. So through my voice,
Wow.
My voice carries a healing frequency, so I can heal with song, for example, right?
Beautiful.
So and then the other thing about my teacher is that he's a very, very creative man. So he actually has created art. So song is one of them, right? He's also written calligraphies, which he calls Tao calligraphies. And these calligraphies, and I can show you one of them, which is this is what is Tao calligraphy. So
Yeah.
this is the one stroke calligraphy. That's and he is the only lineage holder in the world of this calligraphy called one stroke.
Got
And this calligraphy on its own is just art. There's no healing,
you.
faculties in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what he does as a channel, as a Tao channel, Tao is the universe, the creator, whatever your belief system is, he's able to connect to higher dimensions of Tao and channel higher frequency vibrations into the art that then turn into a healing tool.
Wow.
Yeah. So this book itself is a healing tool. You know,
Gotcha.
I have had like I've done meditations by just holding up this book, and this one, by the way, is for transforming anxiety and depression.
Which so
So
many
now this
people in
book,
our communities can suffer with, right? So yeah,
exactly,
definitely. That's great.
yeah. So this book carries a enormous field. And so the key is to connect. And so as a Tao quantum healer, the other thing I would say about what I do is I am a channel. I'm trained as a channel to help others connect. Now, and everybody can connect. Everybody has their own innate self-healing power. You can connect with Mother Earth. You can connect with to the sun. You can connect with a bigger positive field than
Mm.
ourselves to invoke and activate the healing power, right? So it depends on how skilled you are as a connector, as a channel, to be able to transmit or connect, activate the frequency vibration. So, for example, a very simple self-healing technique, and we call it the power of soul, because everyone
Powerful.
and everything is made of a frequency vibrational field, which I mentioned. And in fact, the soul itself can be explained in scientific terms as the vibrational field,
The vibrational
the
field.
house for the vibrational field. So let's say I have a soul, you have a soul, everyone and everything has a soul. And
Yes.
so the soul itself is actually the warehouse of information that
Gotcha.
it is the house of that vibrational field. So depending on how much positive information you have in your soul, it will manifest into your reality. So, and I'll bring it down to the micro, from the macro. Like for example, your knees. Your knee has a soul, meaning
Oh,
that your knee has a vibrational field, right? So if your knee has a lot of positive information, it's very happy, it's very healthy, it's smiling at you, and it's functioning, as it needs to be, in its original form, right? But when you start having a pain, or aches and discomfort in your knee, then it means that there's some negative information, some interference in that field that
okay.
needs to be transformed and restored, right?
Yeah.
So the soul itself is essentially a conscious being. It's a conscious being. It's not just a field. It's actually a conscious being. So one of the most basic techniques, self-healing techniques that we actually teach people, is to actually connect to the soul. Connect to the soul.
Okay. Yeah.
So, for example, I'll just use you as an
Use me as an
example.
example for sure. Yeah, do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you have any part of your body today at this moment where you feel like maybe got some discomfort or maybe some misalignment? Do you have anything right now?
I would say often it's around the lower back area, and the
Mhm.
neck is the two main areas that I would say are common things for me, and sometimes my knees. But I think that might be from the gym. But anyway, you might have a different opinion on that. But yeah, I would say my neck and my lower back would probably be the
Okay.
main areas.
Okay. All right. So, like, do you feel any discomfort right now?
Um, it doesn't feel like, yeah, I would say that if I'm moving my neck around, it feels a bit tight for sure. Yeah.
You're tight. Okay. Any pain or any ache or anything like that?
Um, I would say if I'm really looking into it, like there's the slightest bit in the lower back now. It's more, yeah, it's more usually when I get up in the morning or whatnot. Yeah, but right now just a teeny bit in the lower back.
Lower back. Okay. So on the scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, 10 being like excruciating pain, what would you say the scale of your discomfort or pain is in your
I'm
lower
going to say
back?
right now it's around a 1 or 2.
1 or 2. Okay. So that's good. That's good. So I like to use like pain as a indicator because it's easy to feel the difference, right?
Totally,
So
yes.
so I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. Yeah, close your eyes and just take a moment to bring your mind, to your lower back, and just visualize that you see this light being in your lower back, and that light being is actually the soul of your lower back. So take a moment to just visualize and connect with the soul of your lower back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we will say hello. We call it the say hello technique. So we say hello to the soul of your lower back. So, dear the soul of my lower back. You can say this, in your heart, and you just make this connection. Dear the soul of my lower back, I love you. I honor you. I appreciate you. You're sending love to your lower back. And then you're going to empower your lower back to heal itself. You have the power to heal yourself. Do a good job. Thank you. And just take a moment to just visualize your lower back, the soul of your lower back, this golden light being coming alive, activating its innate healing power. And just visualize this golden light shining in your lower back and just washing away, transforming whatever negative information, blockages that's there. And then we thank the soul of our lower back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, how did you feel?
Feels better for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was just like 2 minutes or less. Um, and so, what is the discomfort level now on a scale of 0 to 10? You said it was a 1 or 2.
I'm trying to see if I can even find it. I would say it's hard to find. Yeah.
So that's that's just an example,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's what we call the power of soul. And I, like you, sometimes I have a back discomfort as well, and that's what I do. And so if your level of negative information or blockages is at the level of where the level of positive information or frequency vibration that's available to you in your back, it could go away easily.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if it's like a higher level blockages, that may or may not be enough. Now, that's when you need higher intervention, and that's where
You go deeper into
the
your work that you do, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yes. But using that very simple technique, which we call the power of soul, anybody can do this at their level. And that's part of what we do as Tao Quantum Healer, is to empower everybody to do this for themselves. And even if they are not able to channel enough high frequency to transform a certain issue, we are working with them. So
Yeah.
they'll do half the work and we'll do half the work, um, to help them overcome, transform, whatever they're trying to transform. So that's
Wow.
essentially what we do. And yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that one. Well, thank you for helping me with the discomfort, but helping also share a little technique with anyone out there who's listening who may be experiencing some sort of discomfort. How easy it might be able for you to transmute that within just a couple of minutes. Yeah, using some Tao Quantum Healing exercises as well.
Right. Yeah. And I can say that this is also very effective. And I mean, I just shared this book about, transforming anxiety, depression. It's very, very powerful and even blew me away, one time. And I'll go back to almost 8 years ago now, my first session at the LGBT Center for the community. It's called Community in Vancouver, spelling with a Q.
Cute,
Community.
cute. I like
On
that.
a play on words. And my first ever session actually blew me away. How powerful this can be. And so my first session, there were like, this is pre-pandemic, so we used to do it in person, so we would do it in a room at the community center, and people would show up, and it was my first session. I didn't really know what to expect, and there were like 5 people who showed up, and I did a very, very simple meditation, a guided meditation, and it was to bring the frequency vibration of the universe
Mm-hmm.
to our hearts,
To our
to our
heart.
hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't really think much about it. I was just there to hold a space. Like I said, I'm a channel, right? So, and then at the end of the meditation, everybody, shared about their experience and all that. And then one of the participants was a trans man, and he, is from the Middle East, and he didn't say much during the session, and she just had this big smile on his face, and he said, "Wow, I felt so much love in my heart," and he had this biggest smile on his face. And I didn't realize how profound those words are until
Yeah.
everybody left, and he stayed back because he needed to talk. So he stayed back. He then started to tell me about his life story. And I found out that he just landed in Vancouver a couple of months ago as a refugee, right? And he was escaping persecution from where he came from. And
Yeah.
right before he landed, he had a very traumatic experience, and he literally lost hope. He couldn't feel love anymore. He was actually at the end of his rope, and he was suicidal.
Wow.
And he's a Muslim, and so he prayed to God. He said to his God, and said, help me. And the message or the inspiration that he got was, come to this meditation. So
Wow.
so in the meditation, when he said, "Wow, were you sending me love? I felt so much love in my heart." It's just so profound, because this is somebody who, because of his traumatic experience, he couldn't feel love anymore.
Could be
And he
blocked,
was actually,
blocked in the heart. Yeah.
yeah, and he was actually ready to go.
Mm.
you know so with that, and then he was in tears, when he was telling me this story after everybody left, right? And I was able to help him heal somewhat, and because he actually told me what his traumatic experience was, and I shared with him my experience of being in what I would say, in my own dark night of the soul, what I experienced and all that, and that really touched his heart, and he was really crying. um and then this person literally picked himself up, and he kept coming to my sessions, for the next few months, and today he's thriving.
That's
he
cool.
ended up you know he ended up becoming a social worker himself, and he now works in a nonprofit serving refugees like himself. So I'm really proud of him. But that session, the reason I'm sharing with you, that session, is that session really really proved to me how important it is for us to be there,
Yeah.
to show up, so, and I've been doing this work for over, this is my 8th year now, doing this work, um as a volunteer, and I don't have any
Giving
agenda. I
back,
just
giving back to the
I
community.
just feel like it's that story, that experience that really, mm, helped me to realize how important it is just to show up for somebody,
Definitely.
and so yeah, so every week, as long as somebody signs up or somebody wants to join, I'm there.
Yeah, I'm there no
Because
matter what. Yeah, and whatever
yeah,
happens,
I don't
happens.
know whose life I may be saving that day, you
Yeah.
know so yeah, so I think I hope that story helps to uh give everybody an idea, why I'm doing
Power.
what I'm
The power of
doing.
what you're doing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I love that.
and and it's not me. I'm just a channel. Like when I said, "Will you sending me love?" I was a bit. I was kind of. I felt really awkward because I was sitting there. I was thinking, no, because I didn't. Because it's not me.
In a world where every journey is unique, one path shines brightly for the queer community. Introducing QueerQuest, the first of its kind personal development platform designed exclusively for us, by us. At QueerQuest, we understand the multifaceted journey of queer identity. That's why we've created a space where you can explore, learn, and grow with the guidance of queer experts from around the globe. Whether you're seeking to enhance your physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual well-being, QueerQuest is your gateway to transformation. Imagine embarking on quests tailored to your journey of self-discovery, finding community, and unlocking your queer excellence. QueerQuest offers online courses, coaching programs, and soon workshops, seminars, retreats, and festivals, all designed to empower you to live your best life. Ready to start your adventure? Join us at www.queerquest.vip to become part of a movement towards personal and collective greatness. Sign up today to join the waitlist and be the first to know when we launch. QueerQuest, where your journey of self-discovery and transformation begins. Don't just dream of a life filled with pride and purpose, make it your reality with QueerQuest. Visit www.queerquest.vip now. Your quest awaits.
I don't have that kind of love, that kind of like unconditional big love. My love is still whatever, human love. you know
Correct. Conditional.
the
Yeah.
love that they felt is beyond me.
It's a spiritual love. Yeah. A deeper love. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but as a channel though, I am trained to do that.
I love that. Mm.
you know and so even myself, when I was in my dark night of the soul, it was that love that saved me.
Mm. Yeah. Would you mind
Yeah.
sharing with us a little bit about your own dark night of the soul? But let's hear a little bit about you and your journey of actually jumping into this, because as you said, you used to be a queer filmmaker. What kind of films did you used to make? What led up to the shift and the change and the evolution of you being now where you are? What was the dark night of the soul?
So yeah, so I mentioned earlier, I'm trained as a journalist, and my whole filmmaking career started in TV broadcasts in
Yeah.
Japan. I worked for one of the biggest news networks in Japan, and then in I think my final year, in is it my final year? Yeah, in my final year of my career, I had to come out to myself, yes, as a queer. But at work there was just no way that I could come out. It was a very toxic environment. People were like, you know um, homophobic, and they would say things about gay people. So I knew it's not an environment that would be safe for me to be who I am.
Yeah.
So I actually decided to. I was already at the time leading a double life. Like I was a
Many of us.
corporate,
Yeah.
corporate producer, a director, in a company. But then in my underground second life, I'm a queer underground grassroots filmmaker that nobody knew about.
Oh.
And I wouldn't, and then I was at the time, with my partner, and I wouldn't have anything to talk about. What did I do on my weekends? I'm always hanging out with my roommate. How come? So I don't talk about my personal
Of
life.
course. Yeah. Yeah.
What I mean? And because the at the time, the LGBT community is so underground, you're able to live a double life.
No one's
Like I
going to
was
know unless you're in that world yourself. They're not going to
exactly,
know that
I was
you're in it.
really
Yeah.
out. Yeah, I was really out in the LGBT world. And because I was a queer filmmaker in the day, everybody knew about my work and what I was doing, but the mainstream world would know nothing about.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
But it came to a point where I couldn't live that kind of double life anymore, and that's one of the
Too
reasons
hard.
why
Yeah.
I quit. And then it became an independent filmmaker, and I continued to make my films. And so one of my debut feature film, is like literally like the first film made about lesbians, like a feature film that was played on cable, like paid TV.
Oh, wow.
So and that film, traveled the world in at the major LGBT festivals in the world, um and that's kind of like set my path, as a filmmaker. And I thought I would be spending my whole life, making stories about queer stories, and giving voice to our LGBT people, mainly, for lesbians. But I also made films about other marginalized communities as well, because I'm a feminist.
Yeah.
Um, but then I kind of hit the wall. I felt I hit a glass ceiling in Japan,
Yeah.
and I felt, okay, it's time for me to move to another country where it's more open to the work I do. And long story short, I came to Canada, and then had to start from scratch, even though I traveled the world with my films, but nobody knew me in Canada,
Yeah.
right? So I had to,
You went from
and I
being a
had
big fish in a small pond in the queer community to being, again, a very small fish in probably a big pond,
big pond, exactly. And I didn't even have work as a journalist or as a director, because I had no credentials here. My credentials in Japan didn't mean anything. So I had to start all over again. But then, long story short, I managed to make a few films. Like one of my films, called Floored by Love, was actually the first film made on same-sex marriage in Canada. It
Okay.
was made when BC, British Columbia, passed the law for same-sex marriage. So I made a film, and again it played on cable. And Wolf a Video, which is one of the biggest LGBT distributors of films in the world, distributed my films. So that was it. It almost feels like a past life now, because I don't make queer films anymore. But that's how I got started as an activist, as a queer filmmaker. And really was very much part of the gay movement in Japan, because when I came out in the 90s, and I shared with you earlier, the internet wasn't even around. We had to really create our community from the ground up, and we didn't have email or internet to communicate with each other. We kind of had to phone each other and finding each other actually through print materials still back then. you
Okay.
know yeah, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and also free papers. That's actually how I found my first lesbian group, per se, was actually through the free paper and a little, ad
I
saying
wanted
hi.
ad kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So that was back in the day. So yes, and then so I got to make some films here in Canada, and I was about to venture into my first, like the biggest project in my career, a feature film, which is a romantic drama between two women. And that's when I had my spiritual awakening, where
Mm.
and at the time, my soul knew, but my mind, my ego were like, no, 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 I'm gonna be, that queer filmmaker that I've always wanted to be. But then it was around the same time that I met my spiritual teacher, who trained me to become a Tao Quantum Healer. And I was struggling, with getting this project off the ground. I was determined. I'm kind of like you, Christiana, like you said. I'm not going to let any roadblock stop me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
That's how I let my life, throughout my life. Like, I actually left high school and immigrated to, immigrated to Japan on my own,
Good on you.
with no
Yeah.
money. And I didn't even speak the language at the time. So that's the kind of person I am. I don't, I didn't, my family didn't really support me in my decision to leave, but I did anyway.
Yeah.
So, so I'm one of those people. I'm like, when I set my heart and mind to do something, I'm gonna get it done. You know. I don't like this expression anymore, but by hook or by crook, you know,
Yeah.
you know. So so yeah, but when I hit this roadblock, with this getting this project off the ground, it was one of the biggest failures, I would say, in my whole life, because the whole project really fell apart, and I really had no idea how, to bring it all back together. It was a lot of money involved, if you
Of
can
course.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, relationships and all that. And so that was part of the reason why I went into the dark night of the soul. But actually, the bigger reason that I went into dark night of the soul is this, somebody in my life who was very much part of this journey of making this film, um, stood up on me. And not only that, left our partnership in a very, very hurtful way.
Yeah.
And it was very, very painful. So not only the whole project fell apart, I lost everything. I lost my
Relationship.
relationships.
Yeah.
I lost my business. I lost everything. And that's when I went into the dark night of the soul, and I was literally on my knees, but interestingly enough, like 6 months prior to this happening, um,
There were
at
signs.
the time, there there were signs from the universe. Um and I already met my teacher. And I mean, my meeting my teacher is a whole other chapter that can be another podcast episode. I won't get into that. But what meeting my teacher really, mm, woke me up is that he actually, his field, like his field, opened up my channels. Like, I didn't go through any training. Like, he actually, like, Tao Academy actually has training to help people open up their spiritual channels. For me, it just opened,
I
right?
see.
Just opened. So I actually started hearing, messages from, the spiritual realm.
Yeah.
So so 6 months prior to this happening, I actually got the message to study about the life of Jesus.
Okay.
And I have no,
Religion.
interest
Yeah.
in Christianity or in Jesus, and I didn't even know much about him, to begin with. Other than he's this guy who went up the cross, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And also, there's no coincidence. I know why now. But I went to a university in Japan that was founded coincidentally, and there's no coincidence, but but was founded by the Jesuits. So it's one of the oldest universities in Japan, and it
Hmm.
was founded by, so it's a Christian university. It actually had a church, on its grounds. But during my university years, I and a bunch of friends of mine, because we were just all coming out and trying to create our community, was trying to create the first ever gay alliance in a Christian university.
Wow.
And this is like, this is almost a 200-year-old university.
Yeah.
Okay, we're like, we're gonna do this, and then of course we got shut down. And so that was my first experience of being persecuted, per se, by the church. Yes. And since then I was like, I do not want to have anything to do with the church. I don't want to have anything to do with Jesus whatsoever. So I'm one of those people, if somebody was giving out a flyer saying Jesus is going to save your soul, I would be the first one running the other way.
Out the door.
Okay.
See you later. Bye
But
bye.
yeah, but 6 months prior to this incident happening to me, my dark night of the soul, I literally got this message that I should start, studying about Jesus's life. But the message was really clear. The message was, do not study the Bible. Study about the historical life of Jesus. So that's what I did. And I was fascinated by who Jesus was. You know, I was fascinated, and then I even went to watch a play about. It was a modern take of a play about Jesus's relationship with Judas Iscariot, right? And I was really moved by it. And then 6 months later, I met my Judas Iscariot, who has always been in my life, and my best friend,
Mm. Mm.
who stabbed me in the back. Um,
Gotcha.
and so
Yeah.
yeah, and so I was on my knees, and literally I I just lost, just like that trans man that I spoke about, earlier on in our conversation. I lost hope. I lost hope. I was in a very dark place. I didn't believe there's love anymore. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and so this might sound a little bit strange to some folks out there, but I'll just speak my truth. Yes, I'm not a Christian. I didn't even believe in Jesus or followed him or whatsoever, but he spoke to me. He literally showed up and he said to me, I was in tears. I was on my knees, on my own. I thought I was alone, you know, and he spoke to me. He said, "What would Jesus do?" And I was so angry. I was so hurt. I yelled back at him. It was literally like, he was in the room. I was having a conversation with
Yeah,
him.
you're
Not,
having
not in,
you're having what someone would have classed as a breakdown, right? But
yeah. So I was
but
having
you were like, but you were there having this deeper conversation within yourself, which is, the representation of Jesus as well, right?
so he, so and I actually yelled back at this, voice, and I said, "But I'm not Jesus,"
Mm.
right? And then there was just this silence. And the next moment, and again, this may be a bit strange to you guys out there, but if you've read the book, by Neil Donald Welsh, you will know what I mean.
Conversations with God, right?
Yeah, literally, heaven opened up, and I felt this deep, profound, unconditional love just pouring on me,
Into
and
you.
my heart just burst open,
Beautiful.
and the rest is history.
The rest is history, and here you are today. Here you are today doing the work, going on that journey of becoming a deeper spiritual healer through the Tao, right? Through the quantum healing. So what a journey you've been on, and it is down to being open to receiving and to honoring and accepting it, because like I said, you were on your knees asking and begging for guidance. You were ready to receive that there, and that's what the thing is that the teacher will come when the student is ready.
Exactly. I love it when you said that, because that's what I learned from my teacher as well. And that's what he said. He said, when the student is ready, the teacher will arrive. And for me that night, you just put it in, you're such a wise soul, Cristiano, by the way. You're such a wise soul.
Oh,
You
thank
know,
you.
you're amazing. Yeah. And the teacher that night that showed up for me was Jesus. And like I said, if you think about, and so that night really helped me understand that there's no religion. There is literally no religion. Is whoever your heart is open to, as a teacher, they will show up. They will show up when you're ready to, like you said, receive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I'm still not a Christian, but I love Jesus. And he's, one of my guides, even till this day, and I have other guides as
Of
well.
course. Yeah. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Oh, I love hearing that story, Desiree, because I think it makes people realize that where we are right now, and you're doing your special, you've got your special, purpose in life and your gifts, but everyone has a past, and everyone doesn't get to where they are without going through the down times, the shitty times, and you've overcome those. And of course, there's going to be more. It's life. We're human, living this human experience. But you have the capacity to now teach and guide other people. So when they are ready, you as the teacher will show up. Which is why, as you said that story before, that man who came to your session, he was ready to receive that day, and you helped facilitate that experience. So you should be very proud of the journey you've been on and where you're at today. Because, like I said, there are so many people out there maybe who are listening who might be ready for their next step, and maybe hearing your voice and your journey is going to inspire them to take that next step on their journey as well. So yes, it's a great opportunity to give back, to share, and it's been great having you on the podcast today. So if there's someone out there who's listening and wants to connect with you, how can people find Desiree? What's coming up for Desiree? I know you also have your own podcast as well. So share a little bit about that.
Yes, thank you so much, Cristiano. So I do run a podcast. I have been on a hiatus, this past few months because my schedule has been crazy. I'm traveling a lot, for this healing work and also the films that I work on. So you can find my podcast on all the major, podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast. It's called Queer Love Light.
Beautiful.
So, and there are a lot of episodes that talk about spirituality, about finding your authentic self, and I also interview other people as well on the show. And if you're interested in finding more about my films, you can also go to my official website, which is DesireeLimFilms.com.
Beautiful.
So thank you so much, Cristiano, for having me. And this has been such an absolute delight to speak to somebody like yourself, who's also a very, very, wise teacher and healer. So it's been such an honor to speak with you today and allowing me to share my experience.
It's an absolute pleasure. And just adding on to that, because I think it's important, you just sparked something in my mind when you said that you mentioned that I was wise. And of course, I appreciate the compliment, but I want to know what people to know out there, the difference between like what real wisdom actually means. It means that you have gone through the trauma in your life and you've healed from it. And you can now look back on it, not with regret or any negativity, but you can take the powerful lessons that happened in those circumstances and move forward in your life, whether that is to help you or to help others. So when someone says that they feel like I'm wise, I take it as a compliment, because it means I've gone through my dark nights of the soul, and I'm continually willing to use those experiences to learn, to grow, and to heal, and to help others on that journey as well. So leave that little nugget with anyone there to spark some thoughts in their mind as to, if you are trying to get, figure out, why are all these other people wise and not me? Go inward and do some of the healing work, because that's how you get the wisdom as well from it as well.
That's right. Absolutely. It's so well said, because it's not wisdom. It's not something you learn from the books. Yeah, you actually have to, yes, you said, take this journey, and this journey is actually within.
Beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Of course, if you have any questions or any stories or comments that you want to have about this episode, you know where to find me. It's under Cristiano Green on all social media platforms, or you can comment below and I get back to every single person who comments. So until next episode, always remember that you've got this and I've got you. Bye for now.
Are you ready to embark on a transformative journey towards love and happiness? Introducing the 21-day Gay Men's Guide to Love and Happiness. This isn't just a course, it's a pathway to discovering your true self, overcoming challenges, and embracing happiness. Join hundreds of gay men who found joy and freedom, Learn from Cristiano Green, a coach with 20 years experience and a journey like yours. For a limited time, get this life-changing course at 75% off with a 100% risk-free guarantee. There's nothing to lose, but so much to gain. Your new life is just a click away. Enroll in the 21-day Gay Man's Guide to Love and Happiness today. Visit theglobalpridecollective.com and start your journey towards a happier, more fulfilled you.